Welcome to Game of Leadership, the podcast for curious leaders. I'm Paula Eddie Wilcox, and today is the third episode with our wonderful guest who is talking about the pivotal moments that make them the leader they are today. I really hope you enjoy the episode. I can't wait to find out what's in store. Welcome to this week's episode of Game of Leadership podcast. We are super lucky to have the wonderful Jodes back with us. Jodie Salt, #1 bestselling author of Woman Up and founder of the Woman Up Society. Fantastic tools to help women smash that glass ceiling and get rid of that sort of boys club mentality, and really, as an assertiveness women's coach, help you become assertive and get the life that you want on your terms. So if that sounds good to you, you better listen, because we've got Jodes for the next 20, 25, 30 minutes. Let's see where we get to. Hi, Jodes.
Hi, nice to be back.
Oh, thank you so much for coming back. Delighted to have you. And it's excitement because we're going to get to talk again, and a little bit sad because this is our last one again for a little while, but we will do some more in future, don't worry. So if you're enjoying listening to us both having a good chat about all things leadership, then we will do some more of that in the future. So Jodes, what could we possibly talk about today? Because we have completely heard about your leadership story and where you are, or why you're where you are today in our first episode with you. And then last week, you gave us your take on the game side of leadership. And we got into all sorts of things about knowledge, power, positional and personal, all sorts of stuff that was fantastic. So if you haven't listened to that, please go back and dig in and have a listen. So what on earth are we talking about today? We are going to have a look at the pivotal moments that made you the leader you are today. So I know we've had that sort of overview story, but I would love to dig in a little bit deeper.
Wow, yes, of course. When you mentioned to me that there was going to be an episode about your pivotal moment, I knew straight away what that was. So mine is that obvious for me. That it came to mind straight away. So kind of bridges my early career. So if you listen to episode 1 of my story, my pivotal moment really does bridge my early leadership career to what I do right now, currently. Midway through, while I was still leading a training team, I had an experience that was really uncomfortable. And, I had a team of about 14. And I've always said training teams are interesting teams, because people who have a career in training are often quite, unique, exuberant individuals, because that's the type of individual that's attracted to that type of role. Yeah. If that makes sense. So definitely a team full of characters. Okay. So sometimes it was like managing a box of frogs. And they were like a big team of brothers and sisters. So if anybody outside of that team attacked anybody within the team, then they'd be thick as thieves and they'd go out like a pack of wolves to defend one of their own. Yeah. But behind closed doors, they were hilarious because they would fight like brothers and sisters. Yeah. That was the dynamic of this team. So,
You're painting such a fab picture. I can just see it in my mind. This is great.
I was still quite young. I was still only kind of 27 at this point. So from a leadership perspective, it was hard going. It took a lot of me. It was a very energy consuming leadership role, because that team needed lots of different things from me. However, one of the experiences that I had is, naturally there were some challenges between with some of those individuals. But I ended up being in a situation with one of my own team where their behaviour was very uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Knowing now I work in the realms of assertiveness, I would describe that behaviour as very aggressive.
Yeah.
Both in a physical sense and in a behavioural kind of sense too.
Yeah.
I was quite intimidated by this individual. And I struggled to manage them. You know, I'm not ashamed to say I really found it difficult. And, you know, before I'd taken on that team, the team had a number of different managers in a very short period of time, you know, which at the time I was a bit like, oh, this is a bit suspicious. Why have 3 managers been here in the last 12 months and not stayed? And, you know, I think because it was such a team of characters, a lot of people had just gone, do you know what, this is too hard. This is too hard, so I'm just going to throw the towel in and go. So yeah, I was finding this individual really, really tricky to manage. It was getting to me outside of work. You know, it was having an impact on my personal life. And it got to the point where there was a grievance raised against me.
Okay.
This grievance was raised against me for bullying one of the team, this individual in the team. And it felt a bit ironic, because I guess the thought in my head was, are you crazy? I'm the one really who's being subjected to more bullying-ish behaviour. You know, I would have never have gone and said, I'm being bullied.
No.
But in the light of the situation, it was kind of like, are you kidding me? And so I found myself in the position where I thought, I'm not surprised that these managers have churned out of here. And I thought, you know what? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm going to do the same. But then anybody who knows me, and if you've read my book, you'll know that I'm not that kind of person. I've got too much fire in my belly for stuff like that. I was like, no, I'm not going to be, you know, almost pushed out of my role. I'm not going to throw the towel in just because of this obstacle. No, I'm going to deal with it and I'm going to see to it.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people might be sitting there thinking, yeah, did you throw a counter grievance back in? Well, no, I didn't. That wasn't the solution that I identified to the situation. I'm actually quite proud of myself when I look back that I had the mindset and the attitude to think through what I actually did. Because what I actually did was I booked myself on a course in London, and that course was an assertiveness course.
Right.
And it cost me £2,000, and I paid for it myself. Okay. Because I thought I need to be able to front up to this situation, but not meet behaviour with I didn't want to mirror the behaviour, because that would be meeting aggressive with aggressive. That's only going to end up in carnage, right? Yes. That's not going to turn out well. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure that one out. Yeah. So I kind of knew I needed to broaden my toolkit. I didn't have the skill set or the confidence to address it in a way that I knew would resolve it. So I took myself off onto this course. And honest to God, Paula, this is why I sell liberation now. When people say to me, what do you sell? I don't sell assertiveness coaching. I sell feeling liberated, and a sense of freedom and confidence. And it's because that course, that day, I can bring that feeling back on at any moment. You know, like when you anchor something in kind of meditation, and from an NLP perspective, I anchored that feeling so that I can bring it back on whenever I need it. Because I went on that course, and, there was 12 other strangers on that course, and we were working through scenarios, and the tutor said to me, right, Jodie, explain your situation. What do you want some help with? And I'd explained this situation. I'd described a conversation I was trying to have, where I was asking this individual to carry out their duties. I won't be specific about it. Carry out the duties that I needed them to do. And they were refusing. Okay. And I didn't know how to deal with that refusal. Yeah, because the refusal was that kind of point blank and aggressive that I'd just be a bit like tumbleweed, walk away. Yeah. So she said to me, right, show me, talk me through, role play for me, how you're handling the conversation at the moment. So reluctantly, I was like, oh God, I can't believe I've got to do this. I feel ashamed. I'm embarrassed. But I did it. And she said to me, she was like, right, pause. She said to me, I can tell you instantly what the issue is. And I can give you a technique right now that will sort the situation out. I was like, oh, give it me. I'll give you more than £2,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll share it with you. She said to me, when you are making this request, the tone of your voice is going up at the end.
Yeah.
And that signals to somebody that it's a question. Okay?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
At the same time, you know, I'm quite a body languagey person. You know, I talk a lot with facial expressions, my hands.
Yeah.
You know, if you're able to watch the actual video version of this, you'll have noticed this already. If you want podcast audio only, not so much. No, but my hands are flying everywhere. She said to me, when your tone's going up, you are also using your hands and putting them out, palms up.
Yeah.
Right. And she said, so the two things together are sending a subliminal message that says you're inviting a response.
Yes.
i.e., there is a choice here for you.
Yeah.
And therefore that person is responding with their choice, which is no. So I was like, right, okay, that makes sense. Get that. What do we need to do? She was like, just do the opposite. So I want you to say exactly the same words. Don't change the words. Say exactly the same words. But this time I want your tone to go down. And I want you to put your palms face down as you say it.
Yeah.
So I practiced it and I was like, oh, right, okay. You know, and she checked in around the group. You know, what do you notice? How different is that? I was getting really great feedback. I was like, fab. You know, so won't tell you about the rest of the course. That's the only bit I took away. That's the only bit that mattered. Went back to work. I did it and it flipping worked instantly.
Brilliant.
And I was just like, get in. Oh, I'll tell you what, I could have skipped home from work that day. You know, I'd spent months going home crying.
Oh.
And that day I went home and I could have cried with joy. I could have skipped all the way home. I felt so good, so good. And so, you know, that was the spark then. So I thought, oh, I'll start trying this in more situations with different stakeholders around the business. And it was working, you know, and gradually then my confidence began to build and I started to play about a lot more with how I articulated myself. I did start to work on the words.
Yes.
So please, you know, my learning wasn't that words don't matter. Words really matter.
They do.
But they don't matter on their own. So by playing around with language, tone, and body language, you know, we're taught this when we do basic customer service skills.
We are, yeah.
On the Mehrabian Wheel, the pie chart of words, tone, body language, right? We forget it in this complex world we live in.
And the body language being such a huge part of that, which is always such a shock to everybody.
Isn't it? And especially in this day and age, because how do we communicate? We send flipping text messages to people on Messenger or Teams or text, and then we wonder why people don't land our message right and people get upset with us. You know, so that changed everything for me. Everything. I was able to step into my own then. I really did. I found my power. I found my voice. I had influence. I felt credible. I could get people to do things that I want, not because I wanted them, because they were the right thing to do.
Yes.
I felt like I could get people to do things because they were the right thing to do, not because such a body said. And yeah, people took notice of me. And from that moment, I've spent from then, so gosh, how many years ago is that now? 43, 16 years ago. I feel like I've just gone from strength to strength to strength. And that's why I teach assertiveness now.
Yeah.
Because I've seen the difference that small things can make. So over the course of 16 years, I've spent my time researching, understanding, learning more about this skill, particularly through the lens of being a woman and some of the challenges that we face as women. But, you know, I still help men in corporate life be more assertive too in their leadership journey. It's not that I don't work with men anymore. It's just my two passions are women and assertiveness.
Yeah.
And the fusion of those two things is what is liberating. So that's for me, that's my big pivotal moment in my leadership journey.
Yeah, and I love how you shared that came to your mind immediately, because that just goes to show what a huge impact that's had on you and your life.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, Jodes, we can't separate the professional from the personal. We can't help but have them interlinked. As you were telling the story there, you were talking about, I went home every night crying because I couldn't deal with this situation. You know, that's impacting your personal life massively, you know, when you should be able to shut the computer at the end of the day and walk away and not have to worry about it. You know, bye-bye, everybody, have a lovely evening. You know, obviously with personalities coming in, different behaviours, as we talked about in the last episode, you know, everybody has different behaviours. We're not always able to step in and understand why they're behaving the way they are. And something that you and I have chatted about before, something that I really hope to give to my daughter, and I hope that you know that you hope you're doing the same, is that they're able to have that empathy, that variety of lenses that they can look at things through and put themselves in the shoes of the other person to try and understand what's going on and flex their approach to make things work as best they can. Let's face it, in life, there are some people you just don't get on with. You're always going to clash and not see eye to eye, and that's okay. We're all different. But in terms of, you know, maintaining a professional...
Yeah, I can still have a relationship with them.
Exactly.
Well with them. Doesn't mean I have to like them.
Exactly. You know, I'm not here to be your best friend. I'm here to lead you as best as I can. And, you know, I expect you to show up and do the best that you can as well.
Yeah, that's it. But here's the absolute kind of pearl in all of that, is that there was a byproduct that I wasn't looking for, and that I actually think a lot of women aren't actively looking for. So yes, I know we're talking about leadership here, and that often points straight into a career, you know, a corporate, a work kind of capacity. But actually this is about leadership in your life, your personal leadership. And what I've been able to see in so many women, in myself and in so many women around me, and actually women don't just come to me now for help with their career, to smash the glass ceiling, to get a seat at the table. They're trying to get a seat at the table with their family, with their friends, you know. And actually what this is giving them is, you know, tools to help them with their personal relationships as well. Their mother-in-law, the number of women I help to have better, more assertive conversations with their mother-in-law is unbelievable, with their partner, with their children. You know, I struggle massively with having assertive conversations with my 19-year-old, right? You know that. We've talked personally about lots of these. So I know there's other women out there who are struggling to talk to their teenagers as well. Teenagers aren't easy to communicate with. And actually, when there are personal relationships, you know, they're unconditional, aren't they? Our professional relationships are a bit more conditional. There's a line. We don't cross it. There's consequences if we screw that up. In personal life, there's a lot more blurry, isn't it? And so and you're emotionally attached. So it makes it 10 times harder to have good conversations and be assertive. So the biggest impact I start to see, So my pivotal moment has led me more to help women in their personal lives as much or more than their professional lives sometimes.
And, I'm really glad we've made that connection between, personal and professional. And you're preaching to the converted, as you know, Jodie. I often talk to clients about leading themselves, no matter what it is they're doing.
If you're a stay-at-home mom,
if you're a stay-at-home mum, leading the household, leading the family, that's a hugely complex job and not for everybody. I'm not ashamed to say here that when I had my daughter in 2006, I knew I wasn't going to be that stay-at-home mum.
Yeah, me too.
I just knew that was not the choice that I wanted to make. Finances aside, it wouldn't have been right for me. And I'm delighted to have been able to have the opportunity to have both. And so a choice that feels, or I say simple, there was a lot that went into it, but that feels simple like that. There are some women that struggle with those sorts of choices for themselves. They're still bound by those expectations of others. I facilitate on a mentoring program overseas in Asia, where the women are very much driven by the expectations of their parents.
Parents are a big deal in this.
Absolutely huge deal. And we're trying to help them understand that just because it's always been that way doesn't mean it has to continue to be that way. And it's like a horse on the race course, it's taking the blinkers off. And the moments that these people have, it's almost like they're like this, and then they go, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, I just went from a scrunchy face to a big wide open face, eyes wide open, and spread hands, because that's what it's like. It's almost like they're opening their eyes for the first time.
And it's keep talking about being like feeling liberated, but one of the biggest things is when people realize that they are allowed to change their mind.
Giving themselves permission.
Because I've told everybody now that that's what I'm doing, and I made that decision. I'm like, and you're allowed to change your mind. For no other reason that I just want to change my mind.
That's funny, isn't it? Liberating is such a great word. Such a great word to use. I love it. Oh, goodness me. I feel like we've learned so much about you, Jodes. It's been fascinating. Is there anything else you would love to share with us today?
Well, I think, to make sure I get an invite to come back, I'll keep everything else in my pocket next time.
Well, let me just think about that. Okay. Absolutely love to have you back again in the future. It has been phenomenally epic talking to you the last 3 episodes.
I've right enjoyed myself.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you so much for bringing all of yourself, as always, including the talking hands. I absolutely love it. So if you are listening to this and you'd love to see what Jodes and I look like in the flesh, please go to the YouTube channel Game of Leadership and have a little looky on there as well, and you'll see us chatting via Tinternet, as we like to call it. Because we could have met up, but it would have taken a whole day out, I think, for both of us. So maybe we'll save that for next time and do it face to face. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? All right, thank you so much, my friend. I hope everybody listening has enjoyed it as much as we both have. Thank you for coming on Game of Leadership.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Special. You're very welcome. See you soon. Thank you for listening to this episode of Game of Leadership, the podcast for curious leaders. Why don't you now take a moment to reflect on what you've heard and see what resonates for you? You never know, there may be some golden nuggets in there that really makes sense to you and you'd like to apply in your leadership. Who knows what's possible? We all bring that different uniqueness to the way that we lead ourselves in all walks of our lives. I'm Paula Eddy Wilcox, and I really look forward to seeing you next time on Game of Leadership, the podcast for curious leaders. Bye for now.